Tonight on Sports Saturday.
Buckle your seatbelt. We're going somewhere.
That's right, Coach. It's April 11th, and we're giving you the 411. Alabama football hit the field for their second scrimmage of the spring. What did Coach Saban think?
We're certainly not satisfied with where we are.
Plus, Tiger makes a charge at Augusta. Would it be enough to play on Sunday?
You just never know around this golf course. Anything can happen.
So come on down, by air, by land, or bike?
Winning?
That's right. It's Sports Saturday, where we let you have your cake and eat it too. And we're in your face right now. There you go. Welcome in, everybody, to Sports Saturday, where we dance, we give you sports.
I thought they were holding on that longer.
No, I told them to come on out because I saw you dancing. I figured everybody else would.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Thanks for tuning in, and you are the best around for tuning in. I'm BJ Millican.
And I'm Jen Chapman. The Alabama football team wants to be the best around when the fall comes around. They got in their second and final scrimmage before A-Day on Saturday. The Tide scrimmage lasted about 130 plays and took a little more than 2 hours to complete. The best news is there were no reported injuries. Coach Saban said it's hard to tell when you play against yourself if you're doing well or not. He continued to preach the need for this team to find an identity. Now, Scott Braswell was there this afternoon, and he has more on what Coach Saban said about the offensive and defensive performance.
Thanks, Jen. This was the second and final scrimmage of spring practice for the Tide before they take the field for A-Day next weekend. Offensively, some young guys had a big day. Robert Foster had 6 receptions for 102 yards, while Tuscaloosa native Parker Baranu finished with 4 receptions and 81 yards. They did not release any QB stats, but Coach Saban did tell us afterwards that no signal caller has emerged as the favorite.
Nobody has really yet stood out to the point where you can say, well, that's the guy. Well, you know, that affects continuity. But I think if we had that resolved, you know, that would be easier for us to establish an identity on offense.
The defense had a big day. Jaron Reed and Dalvin Tomlinson led the way with 5 tackles each, while Dylan Lee and Reuben Foster had 3 tackles apiece, plus an interception. Saban spoke about how difficult it is to judge his team's performance through scrimmages.
When you're playing against yourself, when one side does good, the other side has to do not so good. So you don't really know exactly whether you're really that good on one side and that bad on the other.
The Tide will practice on Tuesday and Thursday next week before participating in the annual A-Day scrimmage on Saturday at 2 p.m. You can watch it on SEC Network Plus. Jen, BJ, back to you.
Thanks, Scott. Here are the stats that the university released. Ronnie Clark and Derrick Henry with the bulk of the work on the ground. O.J. Howard with 2 touchdown catches. And Jaron Reed had a solid day defensively. 2 more practices before next week's A-Day.
The Auburn Tigers are also wrapping up their spring. They held their final scrimmage before their spring game Saturday as well. A lot of emphasis has been on Will Muschamp's revamped defense on the Plains. But Coach Malzahn says neither unit has a leg up just yet.
You know, I think it was a little bit of both today. I mean, I think the defense, you know, I think they had a big interception, almost returned it for a touchdown, and then the offense scored a couple times. So I think it was a little bit of both today.
Somebody wake Coach Gus up. 4 spring games around the SEC today. Florida quarterback Will Grier pretty much locked up the starting spot in Gainesville with a solid performance. Meanwhile, a celebrity showed up on the field for South Carolina. We're going to show you that later in the show. And a pair of quarterbacks for Georgia and Ole Miss take the headlines in their spring games.
Well, Tampa Bay has the first pick in the upcoming NFL draft, and previous reports indicated Jameis Winston would be their selection. But on Friday, the Bucs ownership expressed concern about the Florida State QB's off-the-field issues and how it will be perceived in the community if they should pick him. So perhaps not the #1 pick. 3 weeks to go until the NFL draft, and we will find out. More former Heisman Trophy winner news. This one, Johnny Manziel, who was released from rehab. The Cleveland Browns QB is expected to return to practice. The 22-year-old entered treatment at the end of January following his rookie season and reportedly checked himself in. Johnny Football only played in 4 games this past season and posted disappointing numbers, including averaging just 43 passing yards a game. Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof. The Alabama baseball team wanted to avoid disappointment on the diamond today in Game 2 against the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right. After last night's extra innings win, both teams had identical 5-8 records in conference. Will Carter on the mound for the Tide. And hey, Will, it didn't look good for him early. Keegan McGovern is going to scoot home on this passed ball. That puts the Dogs on the board first in the third inning. And then it gets worse. Sometimes that just happens, especially in baseball. 2 on for Jared Walsh. He singles home another run. 3 in the third for the Bulldogs, and that's really all they would need. Alabama falls in this one 8-1. Bama drops to 17-16 on the year, 5-9 in the SEC. Georgie Salem, one of the lone bright spots for the Tide, going 2 for 4 with an RBI. The rubber match is Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. You know, a lot of excitement this week around the Alabama basketball program with the arrival of new head coach Avery Johnson.
And a lot of excitement here. Tomorrow on Sports Sunday, we're going to introduce a new segment. It's called One-on-One with Jen.
Who's
and
that?
I'll go, me, one-on-one with Alabama coaches, athletes, and other sports figures. Tomorrow we'll debut with the Tide's new head coach. Here's a preview of what you'll see tomorrow as Johnson talks about basketball living in the football program's shadow.
But Coach Saban has embraced my arrival here. We had a chance to meet, and he wants basketball to get to an elite level. You know, he doesn't want to continue to get the question about what's wrong with Alabama basketball. He wants us to be partners to not only make, obviously, the rest of the sports better, but he wants basketball to get there. He's going to support us. He's going to support me. We're going to spend some time together picking each other's brain. We know we both are understandably busy, but he's going to be a great resource.
So tomorrow night on Sports Sunday, we will show you the interview in its entirety as we start that new segment, One-on-One with Jen. And still more to come tonight on Sports Saturday.
That's right, including a check-in on who's heading into Sunday with the lead at Augusta. But next, our own Andrew Clare takes us to the Tour de Tuscaloosa. Special story about a special girl and her dad. It's next on Sports Saturday. Stick with us. We're back, and it was a big night for former Alabama pitcher Jimmy Nelson with the Milwaukee Brewers. He strikes out 9 in 7 innings. He was throwing smoke tonight. He only allowed 2 hits. More Major League Baseball highlights in just a moment. Now, we're still 3 months away from the Tour de France, as they say, but that doesn't mean cycling is taking a break.
I don't know how many people say it that way.
Everybody
so
says it that way.
In local form, it's
it.
Tuscaloosa's version of the famous race, the Tour de Tuscaloosa. Joining us now in the studio is Andrew Clare to bring us more from that event. Andrew?
Well, thanks, Jen and BJ. Well, we know Freddie Mercury and Queen once said, "I want to ride my bicycle," and there could not have been a more perfect day than today to do so, as there was the Tour de Tuscaloosa bike race held downtown this morning. This is the first time the race has been held in years, and it's part of the Druid City Arts Festival.
It just gives us something different downtown, something to add to the downtown atmosphere here in Tuscaloosa, aside from the usual stuff that we have. So it's nice to have a different event to give people a chance to come out and see what cycling and racing is all about.
It should be a wonderfully cycling-friendly community. It's just a great place to ride all year round because of the weather. And the fact that we're doing it downtown and bringing people from the state into Tuscaloosa to enjoy and participate in the event, it's just a fantastic opportunity for the city.
There was a great turnout for Saturday's Criterium race. A Criterium, or a Crit, is a race that is run on smaller, faster courses. There were competitors from all ages, but local 11-year-old Ellen Charles, who won the junior girls division, stole the show.
When you're racing like against other people for prizes and stuff, you seem to be more energized and want to go harder. But just like in a time trial, you can't really bring that out of you.
An event like this lets the whole family spend time together. Randy Charles says cycling is something everyone can enjoy.
You could ride with your kids when they're training. In many cases, you could ride with them when they're racing. The juniors, I'll be riding behind the field tomorrow. It's just something that the family could do together, and that's the beautiful thing about cycling. So,
with the Tour de Tuscaloosa being a part of the Druid City Arts Festival, race director Warren Myers hopes it can introduce new faces to the sport.
Allows people who aren't exposed to cycling to see something different and to get a chance to see something that they may be interested in doing and just never even thought of.
Tomorrow will be the second and final day of the tour. For WVUA Sports, I'm Andrew Clare.
And thanks, Andrew. The Major League Baseball season is much longer than a long bike ride.
That's right, it is. But if you're a Braves fan right now, you're very excited. They're way out in front. They still haven't lost yet. Do you believe that? They're 4-0 heading into Game 2 tonight against the Mets. Julio Teheran went 7 innings for the Bravos, only allowing 2 hits. Meanwhile, Freddie Freeman gets the hit stick out. He provides the offense. Put Atlanta on the board first with his solo shots. Hey, guess what, everybody? The Braves win 5-3, moving to 5-0. They're going to go 162-0. Right?
I'm still laughing. Okay, so more to come on Sports Saturday, including a tiger prowling up the leaderboard at Augusta.
Who's that, I wonder? That's right. Next, we're going to show you third-round highlights from the Masters. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's a tradition unlike any other third-round Masters action. Jordan Spieth, a big lead headed into the day, but he has closers on his heels like Tiger Woods, y'all. And he knocks down the birdie. Tiger shot a 68 today to move up the leaderboards. Lefty also making a big move. Watch the 60-foot birdie putt on the 16th. He finishes at 11 under, a 67 today, but still making shots like this is Jordan Spieth. 22 birdies in 3 rounds, a 54-hole scoring record. He is feeling confident.
When I got out there and saw a couple putts go in, I felt really comfortable, and that's good. I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence going into tomorrow.
To come back here and play major championship and, to be in the mix. Granted, I got to shoot a super low one tomorrow, but at least I've given myself a chance going into tomorrow.
The big story today was Justin Rose and Phil Mickelson both shot a 67 to close the gap on Spieth. The final round is tomorrow. Hey, before we go, we told you we'd show you the celebrity touchdown in the South Carolina spring game.
That's right, and here it is coming up. A long pass to a wide open, who is it? Darius Rucker, what? Of Hootie and the Blowfish fame, he is a huge South Carolina Gamecocks fan, and Coach Spurrier worked it out before the game. He told Coach, Coach asked him, he said, Darius, have you ever scored a touchdown at Williams-Brice?
Is that really what he said?
That's
or
exactly
are
what
you
he
just
said. No, I'm not making that up. It was absolutely what happened. And then Darius, obviously not having played football at South Carolina or at any place ever, said, no, Coach, I actually have not ever scored a touchdown at Williams-Brice Stadium until now.
This is the best story ever.
He has now. Darius Rucker, and then he sung a song.
Which one? Can you do one quick?
I can't, not in 5 seconds. Good night. Sports Sunday tomorrow.
Good night.